Hey, what's up, you guys? So I want to talk about Nofap and I want to talk about time. So when you're on Nofap or you're on semen retention, you will realize very quickly and very fast that you're gonna have a lot of time on your hands. Okay. So one of the things that I was thinking about though, with all the time that you're gonna have, is when you take no fap, but then let's say you are told, hey, you should get a hobby. Okay. So you go get a hobby, and for me, it was fishing at one point. But then I started to realize when it was fishing season, I got addicted to fishing. So instead of just fishing, for an hour, maybe 2 hours, I would spend so much time fishing that other areas of my life are being neglected. So when you have all this time, you have to also realize, okay, yes, you have to find things to do with this time that are going to be beneficial. But even at that, let's say it's something beneficial. So let's say you want to make as much money as you possibly can, okay? Well, that sounds wonderful, but is that going to become another addiction? So you could become addicted to money. So you could spend all your time chasing after money and neglecting your family, neglecting your health, neglecting this, neglecting that. And then next thing you know, you run into all types of other problems. So this is something that you guys have to keep in the back of your head is there's so many ways to be addicted to so many things that, well, you have to have balance. And one of the keys about nofap is having balance. I mean, because if you're going to do nofap, you're going to have balance in other areas of your life too, because you don't want to just replace nofap with another thing and then that becomes an addiction. A lot of things are good, yes, but if you do it too much, it can have not so good results, if this makes sense. I mean, so you have to do it in balance. And this is the part where it gets tricky because, like, you have to be able to uh, control the dopamine levels and do this and do that. Because, like, when I went fishing, every time I catch a fish, I'd release a massive amount of dopamine. So it was like I became addicted to it. So it was like, well, this isn't good because I was neglecting some of the other things that I should be doing, and then it just wasn't a good situation. So you have to be able to control yourself. You have to be able to sit there and realize a lot of this stuff here on earth that you're fighting, you have to realize, dude, you're not going to be able to do a lot of this stuff on your own. Willpower, your mind, it can only get you so far. So you have to, in my opinion, I just ask God to help me, to give me the strength to keep going, give me the strength to have wisdom, knowledge, all this stuff. Because if you don't, and you're going to rely on yourself, good luck to you. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, this world is set up in a way that with nofap, it's going to be a never-ending thing. I mean, you're never going to stop learning. You're never going to be be at a point to where you're not going to be tempted at some point in your life. Okay, whether it's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days in, whether it's even if you're a couple years out, you're going to be tempted. So, and when that temptation comes up, what are you going to do? There are things that you could do to make it easier, but overall, you guys, there's no magic solution. There's no formula. There's no secret anything to be able to do this. You just have to do it. And if you screw up, you have to be like, okay, I screwed up. Accept that, forgive yourself and move on, but you don't want to sit there and just go into a relapse and just keep binging and then go back into your old ways. You have to learn, move on, and just keep going because everybody's different. There's no secret formula here. I could tell you what works for me, but would it work for you? I don't know. So, going back to time, you really have to realize that you're going to have a lot of time on your hands. And I would argue to say, this is my opinion, ask God to help you to fill this time because things will just fall into place. And this is what has happened to me in other areas of my life. Like whenever I would try to stop gambling in the past because I was addicted to gambling for a little bit. Well, what happened is things just fell into place. I mean, like, so I would go to bed. I would say, hey, go to bed. I'd think in the back of my head, visualize in the back of my head before I went to bed that I was gambling free for a year. Okay. And eventually, what happened was one day the casinos they went on strike. And so I was like, well, I don't want to go to the casinos if they're on strike. And next thing you know, I didn't go. And then it just happened. I mean, things just happen naturally. So don't try to force things, you guys. I mean, because if you're going to try to force things, you're going to I mean, you can't do this on your own. You have to accept sometimes in life bad things and good things. They just happen. So with Nofap, the longer you go, there'll be, I mean, if you ask God to help you, God will give you the grace. God will give you the strength. God will provide for you. But you have to realize there's going to be a lot of things whenever you sit there and you look back on this, at least with myself, that you just don't understand. You're like, how did this even happen? I don't understand. And you're not going to be able to describe a lot of the stuff. And this is my situation. So I would ask God to, hey, God, what do you want me to do with my time? Give me wisdom, give me knowledge, give me grace, give me mercy, have patience with me, okay? Ask God to just help you, give you the inner strength to just figure out what to do with your time. And I I mean, things will just happen. You'll just start getting busy with stuff, and then next thing you know, oh, what happened with all the time? And then you're off to bed. So I encourage you guys to get right with God and just know that if you're on NoFap, some people will understand this, some people won't. But it is what it is because we're living in a world where a lot of people, I mean, I hate to say this, the news, the media, the doctors, all these people tell you, oh, jerking off, it's great for you. It's wonderful. It helps relieve stress. It's another form of safer sex, okay? And unless you do this, you guys, you're never going to sit there and know what it's like to be on NoFap. You're never going to understand. You're never going to be able to really um, figure out what life is like on NoFap and to help just get a better conscience, you guys, to get closer to God, to understand all this stuff because you're going to be on a higher level than everybody else, okay? And this is what you want. You want to be on a higher level than everybody else. A lot of people, I mean, they might eventually get there, they might not, but you have to accept this. And there's no when people try to come up to you and say, "Hey, why are you?" I mean, don't even tell anybody you're doing this. You guys just do it for yourself. And I guarantee you, if you ask God to help you, because there's gonna be a lot of things that we cannot do on our own, and you're gonna have God's grace to come down upon you and help you. So I encourage you guys to stay strong and God bless.